Ooh, ancient province.
Sid Meier's Civilization is arguably the most iconic 4X game series ever created. That does not necessarily mean it is the best. I personally prefer the Endless games created by Amplitude Studios, but I readily admit that Civ is great. I have lost plenty of sleep to playing just one more turn. But just because Civ is great does not mean the way it handles religion is great. It is not terrible by any means, but it is reductive. Let me explain what I mean. In Civilization 6, the different aspects of a civilization are represented numerically in a few different ways. Scientific progress is accumulated as science, cultural development is earned as, you guessed it, culture, and spiritual and religious activity is stockpiled as faith. The difference between faith and the other two resources is that faith does not unlock different technologies and civics as science and culture do, respectively, but instead is spent like gold, Civ 6's representation of money. Indeed, the Civilopedia, the game's detailed encyclopedia of concepts and historical references, simply refers to faith as the currency of religion. Essentially, faith is money. Well, what about religion, then? At the start of the game, once you accumulate enough faith, your civilization can create a pantheon or proto-religion. What this means in gameplay terms is that some aspect of the game is improved for you. Perhaps you can gain faith or culture from a source that would otherwise be unavailable, or perhaps your population grows more quickly, or you can train military units in less time. Players choose whatever available belief best fits their strategy for the game. Once your pantheon is set, you can progress towards a religion. After building a holy site and attracting a great profit, you can found your very own creed and select some more beliefs that provide gameplay benefits. As the game progresses, you can add more beliefs to gain more benefits if you wish. Not every player will be able to found a religion, as great profits are limited in supply. Obviously, there are game balance concessions being made with this sort of arrangement. Limiting the number of religions in a particular game ensures that players who are not prioritizing it will not get the benefits of having a religion. This makes sense, since those players will be prioritizing and gaining the benefits of other paths to victory. It may not be terribly realistic, as new religions can and do appear in history even as we get further and further from the start of the game, but it works when you are playing. Also, every player can get a pantheon, so the game does try to recognize the universality of religious experience in that way. There is another small criticism I have in that Civilization 6 sort of presents all religions as missionary religions. Players can make units that spread their religion across the game map, and this method is how a player most efficiently wins a religious victory. Players may choose to adopt the name of a real-world religion, too, such as Catholicism or Judaism, etc. I was playing as Russia in this game, so naturally I chose Eastern Orthodoxy. The issue is that there are real-world religions that do not emphasize missionary activity, and while players could choose not to spread their religion, the religious victory requires that you do so. While there are many real-life religions that would admit that attempting to convert the world is one of their doctrines, not all religions focus on conversion. Some will accept outsiders who come to them, but primarily focus on catechizing their own communities. Civ 6 does give you options for playing religion defensively, but many of the beliefs that can be selected for a religion improve as the player's religion spreads, or directly improve the player's ability to spread the religion. In short, the system for creating a religion points strongly towards spreading that religion, either as a complement to the primary strategy a player is pursuing, or as the primary strategy itself. Religion is reduced to just another collection of numbers to help you win the game. And of course it is. This is a traditional 4X game after all. Explore, expand, exploit, exterminate. You don't play it just to peacefully coexist. This criticism is valid for more games than just Civ 6, but Civ 6 being set in the real world is particularly vulnerable to it, I think. That all said, those two issues are more nitpicks than anything else. The problem I would like to really emphasize is the treatment of faith as money. Faith is used to buy religious units and buildings, and it can be used for other purposes too later in the game, like creating naturalists who make national parks, or getting rock bands who spread your culture through their performances. As an aside, I would say it is clever to acknowledge how people can put their faith into nature or different cultural expressions apart from religion and the supernatural, so kudos to Civ 6 there. Yet the concept and real-world experience of faith is not well defined as a resource that is expended and then replenished. For some people, it can seem that way, but there are many others who perform great acts of faith and become more deeply faithful. Rather than draining their faith reserves, these actions increase them. The same can be said for peoples or civilizations, too. Building great houses of worship did not deplete the faith of the nations that did so, and producing great saints did not diminish the ability of religious peoples to believe. Indeed, sometimes it is periods of seemingly low faith that produce great holy men and women. Treating faith as a currency is elegant, and it works for Civ 6, but it is reductive. It treats religion as just another path to power and domination, with no connection to the supernatural or ultimate reality. That idea might be appealing to people who are indifferent or opposed to religion, but many spiritual and religious people would find it repugnant. So, what is another way faith could be represented in-game? My suggestion is that faith should be treated not as a currency, but as a threshold. I don't know if other games already do this, or if other people have suggested this idea already, so forgive me if I am not saying anything new, but I really like the idea of measuring faith in this way. Civilizations would accumulate sources of faith in the traditional way, but they would not stockpile faith. Once certain thresholds were reached, pantheons or religions would be selectable. Religious units would be produced automatically at certain intervals depending on the faith threshold level. Or maybe the player could force one to be produced at the cost of temporarily penalizing the threshold score, but otherwise, they would be surprises, not unlike the appearance of prophets and saints in real life. I have not worked out all the details, but I think a threshold system for faith would be better than a currency system, at least in terms of reflecting the nature of faith and religion in the real world, and it would not be terribly difficult to implement in-game. Of course, I am not a professional game designer, so I could be completely wrong. What do you think? Does my idea make sense, or am I way off base? Tell me in the comments, and if you like this sort of video, please like, subscribe, and share. I will be posting the full game while I am on vacation in the coming weeks to prove I actually did get a religious victory on deity difficulty. Anyway, thanks for watching, and God bless you.